All right, you guys, what is going on? It's your boy Town Biz. So I got a few minutes to spare. So I wanted to talk some boxing news. So apparently it appears just minutes ago I found out that they have officially ordered the WBC, that is, for Tank for Shakur Stevenson to defend his title, his WBC title, against William Zepeda. And Shakur Stevenson has made it very clear that's his very next fight. Now, Oscar tried to play games by trying to say he tried to pull out of the fight. He felt that the deal that Turkey was willing to offer for the fight, he didn't care for. So basically, keep in mind, Zepeda is the Golden Boy fighter, so it appears Shakur Stevenson and his team are going to, which should be Eddie Hearn, are going to try to negotiate with Golden Boy. This fight, to me, is a fight in the States. I understand fighting in Saudi Arabia, that's cool, but I feel this particular fight should be in the States. This fight should be particularly in Las Vegas. I feel like this is either a Las Vegas fight or they could do it in Shakur Stevenson's hometown of Newark, New Jersey. And they have ordered a 70-30 split in favor of Shakur Stevenson. So that means Shakur Stevenson would get the majority of the money. So let's see what happens. And then speaking of another fighter that is connected to Shakur Stevenson, Tank need to tell his team to be quiet and stop speaking on his behalf, because Kenny Ellis continues to make Tank look bad, and that they just flat out are avoiding Shakur Stevenson, and that they flat out are looking like they just dug in him. And then, of course, David Benavidez been elevated to WBC lightweight champion. And one guy asked me, do I think this is a duck, for Bibble to basically elect not to fight David Benavidez and pursue a big money third fight with Arthur Benavidez. Now, it appears that the winner of the trilogy with Arthur Benavidez and Bibble would in all likelihood fight David Benavidez. But I'm pretty sure David Benavidez will have a title defense depending on who they match him up with. And if David Benavidez is successful and whatever happens with Bibble 3, then if they can get this all sorted out, more than likely you would see probably a unification, basically undisputed match between whoever wins those upcoming fights. Now, I'm going to say this about Tank's team. They got to stop. They are making Tank look so bad, saying that Shakur Stevenson is trying to age him out. And Steven Espinosa said himself that they wasn't a official deal or basically an offer sent to Shakur Stevenson. But Shakur Stevenson did say he was willing to come to the PBC and do a multi-fight deal if he was guaranteed a fight with Tank. But all this stuff about Shakur trying to age him out sounds just like complete and utter bullshit, and you just got to say it. That's just basically it. That's all it come down to. That's just basically it. And they're doing Tank a disservice. They're further making it look like they just don't want to fight Shakur Stevenson because they feel style-wise that's a bad matchup for them. Now, my thing with David Benavidez, and I'm going to say this again, this isn't an attack on David Benavidez. But I wonder if people going to have the same energy and refer to him as an email chimp like they was doing Devin Haney. Now, do I believe that Bibble ducked David Benavidez? Well, to each his own. The eye of the beholder. I cannot say no and I cannot say yes. Because some people are going to say it does look like a duck. Why not fight David Benavidez if you're Bibble? But at the same time, as a boxing fan, this Arthur Benavidez, Dimitri Bivol, 2 fights so far have been very intriguing. Both of those fights have been very competitive, and they have one victory over each other. And I think this trilogy would be, basically the end game. It would be the finale. The fans have said they're interested in a third fight, basically the rubber match. So, with that being said, let's see what happens. But if you want to say that, do you feel Bibble ducked David Benavidez? I have no problem with that because I can't say technically that's not true. But then again, I can't say that it isn't, I can't say on the flip side that that's just not the case. He's, um, he feel like this is more lucrative for a third fight with Benavidez. With Better Beef. So, we'll see what happens. I like the fight. I like the fight. A lot of people ask for a third fight, so I'm game. But I'm gonna say this again with Turkey. We've already had two of these fights in Saudi. I want to see him bring these fights back to the States. I think you can put together a fight in the States. I think you could put Better Beeb. I think you could put Better Beeb Bibble at Madison Square Garden, and I think you'll get a decent crowd. New York has a decent Russian audience, so I think Russians would come to New York and watch that fight. I think it would do some decent numbers as far as ticket sales go. So let's see, can we get that fight to happen? But getting back to Shakur Stevenson and Zepeda, it's time for this fight to happen. I got Shakur Stevenson winning this fight decisively. I got him dominating Zepeda. Zepeda comes forward, and I just think he'll be target practice for Shakur Stevenson. I think it's reason why they been hesitant to make this fight. So Oscar makes it sound good, and we know Oscar has a history of trying to protect his fighters. So I'm all for it. But with Tank, I'm gonna say this once again. He really needs to get Kenny Ellis on the phone and say, hey man, you got to stop this stuff, man. You making me look bad. Tank is 30 years old. When do you take the training wheels off of Tank and say, hey man, you need to go out here and fight some dogs? Listen, when he was sitting up saying he's more skillful than Floyd Mayweather, if you look at Floyd Mayweather's resume at 30 versus Tank's, it's just not even, it's not even close. It's not even in comparison. It's not even debatable. You just looking at who Tank has fought thus far, you just be like, yeah, think about it. If you really think about it, Tank's resume is just not that impressive. I know the Tank Glazers are gonna say, "Hey man, you're just hating and all this kind of stuff." And Tank has done this. And they talk about stuff that's irrelevant to the conversation about, oh, well, Tank sells out arenas and all. And listen, man, listen, stop it with that. Stop it. We want to see Tank fighting the best guys. And at age 30, Tank's resume is underwhelming. And that's putting it nicely. But all this stuff about Shakur tried to age him out and all this kind of stuff, it's been proven that they haven't sent him a formal offer. But they're just making it look like they just don't want to fight. And that's all it come down to. So I just wanted to put that out there. But anyway, appreciate you guys listening. This your boy Town. I'm out.